Hey, I think we're live. So Stephanie is doing a premiere right now, and I didn't realize that she had it scheduled. So I apologize, Stephanie. I don't like to walk on post.
She's saying it's 3 minutes long. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's not going to be a problem then. We'll be okay.
Well, do we want to live stream her stream? Is that what we want to do?
We don't want to do that to her either. So
some people want you to, and some people don't want you to.
Yeah, she'd probably copyright strike me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big no-no or whatever. Anyway, yeah, we don't know what we're doing today. Oh, I know. I've been thinking about God. I've been thinking about what Christians believe if they literally believe biblical stories, right? And I was thinking about, okay, God made man in his image, right? And then, now did he make woman in his image? I'm trying to figure out whether God has a dick. And okay,
that's Nitty's expertise.
Okay, he's got that all figured out. Okay, but anyway, so he made man in his image, but he gave man this lustful.
God, he made man in our image.
Our? Oh, yeah,
It actually says, let us make man in our image.
Yeah, that's when they were actually polytheistic, but they're not going to admit that. So anyway, okay, so he gave him a lustful nature. Does God have a lustful nature?
Lust?
What? Lust.
Are you saying lustful?
Lustful nature. Lustful.
Oh, that's a deep theological question. In a lot of traditions, God is seen as impassive, and any mention of what seems like human emotions are considered analogous.
Okay.
And not literal.
Scott paused there. I thought he was having a Mitch McConnell moment.
Yeah.
I did. Well, my son sent me a message that's huger than I thought. And so I had to pause there for a second. And I do apologize. But my mind was active and conscious and aware.
So what this makes me think of is Dr. Stavroukopoulou's book, God and Anatomy, where she talks about how the original view of the biblical God was he was very physical. And he did have a body and did come down and have sex with Mary and things like that.
So he had a dick. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so he gave him a lustful nature and told him to go forth and be fruitful and multiply with your lustful nature, right? Because you need a lustful nature in order to do that. But then you're not supposed to think about lust. He gave him a lustful nature, but you're not supposed to think about it. What the fuck? And then they were so lustful, and then I guess in what was it, Genesis 6, they talk about God getting pissed off because human beings began to increase in number. Okay, I can put this on the screen here.
A glitch in the Mitch.
I'm just trying to figure this shit out.
Well,
sounds like
I don't know what to tell you about how fundamentalists should look at it. I think they need to look at it like people who study the Bible objectively do, and just realize that the language about humans and God is different in more Greek-influenced theology. And after philosophy has taken hold of it, but its gods are very close in their behavior to humans in like the Old Testament that reflect, when it's trying to reflect an older period of time. and God does have all these anthropomorphic qualities to them because that's how they thought of God.
And in the commandments too, have no other gods before me.
Yeah.
So there's lots of references to all the gods.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is, and I know there are a couple of you guys actually believed in this stuff for many years in your life, but to believe, I don't know if either of you are fundies or literal interpreters or actually believe that the flood happened. I I just can't get over this. That you gave them a lustful nature, and then they got wicked, and then they started fucking around with the Nephilim and stuff like that. And then he got really pissed off, and then he drowned them all. And then he said, "Oh, I promise I'll never do that again. Next time I'm gonna burn you all." And like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Who in the fuck would buy this shit? And then, okay, he drowned them all, and then they got wicked again, and then he had to send down his son. Like, what the fuck does that mean? And proving that he has a dick, right? I guess. Send down his
And
son.
don't forget the flood. The flood was he was going to destroy everything, but he
Right.
started over with the same exact things.
Right, and the
Yeah,
same men,
yeah.
right?
The same
those
essential
three
nature.
sons.
That
Yeah.
never made any sense. Okay, I'm just going to wipe everything out and start over. Okay,
And give him a
I'm
lustful
going to wipe
nature
everything out.
again. Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then it fucks up again, so then he has to send his kid down there to get nailed to a cross, and then everything's cool now because he couldn't have let him into heaven. I don't understand why he wanted to let him into heaven because they were wicked. So I mean, why would he even give them the option of being wicked and then getting into heaven anyway? It's like, what the fuck are you thinking, God? And then, okay, and then 2,000 years is going to pass, or 100 or whatever, and he's going to take the ones that accepted Jesus and shoot them up into the sky for a couple months.
Did we lose Mike?
He lagged out. He doesn't know it yet.
Is Mike having a Mitch moment?
His internet is.
Everybody pause. Freeze.
All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. All right, so
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
raised
things are
with-
better. I'm sorry. I just want to say I think things are better when we don't consider God very much at all, except maybe, as part of poetry or literature, and that's about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I was raised with Jehovah's Witnesses, and they taught me to believe that stuff is literal and true.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed now when I look back at it, but I never did the math, right? I didn't think about how many species of animal really are on the earth and how far away some of them are separated by oceans and deserts and mountains, and how are they going to get all the way to the ark. I never thought about what they would do with the urine and the feces from the animals, or what they would feed them with, because there's not going to be any room for any food. And the carnivores are only going to want to eat other animals. And I never thought about all the insects that they would have to bring with them. And it's not even mentioned in the story. It's really bad storytelling, right? And if you just stop and do the math, or even just think about the logical logistics of it all, none of it makes sense. None of it stands to reason. And I just never did the math because I was taught not to think critically.
I don't know if we have Mike back yet.
Not
Why
yet.
am I the big and everybody else is off to the side?
You the man.
You're the man.
You the man.
I guess I'm the man.
You're the
You
man.
the man.
I'm the man.
So that's actually what led to my deconversion, really, is the Dark Matter 2525 video about the Noah's flood, where he raised all kinds of points that I'd simply never thought about before. And by the end of that video, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ever thought that was legit. And there's just no way to explain it. There's no way to justify it. And what's interesting to me is now when you talk to fundamentalist Christians, they want to talk about how God uses basically magic to do everything, and that we should totally accept that as true. But the whole story of Noah's flood is God's thinking to himself, I don't want to use magic. That's not how I do things. So let me use actual physical rain, have you build an actual physical boat, right? Do everything with physical physics, right? He didn't want to cheat the system, apparently. But now we're like, oh yeah, God's all about cheating the system with magic. And I'm like, if that's his MO, if that's consistent with his nature and his character, his magic, why didn't he use it during the whole flood thing? Why not? Why not just use
Right.
magic for all of it? Doesn't make any sense.
That's why I always assume that there's more to the flood story than what they're making it out to be, because it could have just been, I put everybody to sleep and took out the rib, and there's a woman. Like with your magic, yeah, just okay, just put everybody to sleep and fix it, and there you go. And was it one paragraph, one verse, or whatever? But no, we've got a there's a build up, and the people are all evil, and then they're mocking him for being a believer, and no matter what, there's more to the story there that they were trying to tell than just like you said, it could have just been a magic event, and that's why you find all these bones in the ground or something, but there's nothing like that.
Right. I agree 100%. And it looks like Steam is, or not, Restream rather, is not being right to Mike. So do we need to stop and start over again? Is this the gods punishing us for streaming at the same time as Stephanie, perhaps?
Or for talking about how silly fundamentalism is. Maybe
Maybe
fundamentalism was right all along. Oh no.
That's why you should talk. That's why you need to talk about Bigfoot, because you get the good mojo going. See?
Yes,
See? Look. See? There you go.
What's a
all
gloitch?
All hail Bigfoot.
A gloitch is a glitch with a goiter. The worst kind of glitch is a gloitch.
I'm trying to make sure I don't. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yes, I can.
Thank you for telling me that.
I told you that, but you couldn't hear us.
Okay. So how the hell do I edit your fucking icon? Because I'm not sure.
I guess just keep clicking.
I guess so.
That's one way to do
it. Did I get the right one?
There you are.
Okay.
That's you.
Go back up in the upper left where I belong.
There you go.
Oh, so where did I drop out? It's probably going to happen again. Something's going on with Restream on my end. I'm not sure what.
As soon as you started, you got a couple words and you were gone. That was it.
No shit. Oh wow. Anyway, I was talking about this lustful nature, and yeah, you're right. After the flood, he picked a subset of humans with the same exact genetics and lustful nature. Japheth and Ham or Shem or some fucking thing, and set them up to go ahead and multiply again. And then what's the next thing they did? They all got together and they were speaking the same language, and they built a tower and offended God. And then he made them like not understand each other and split them up across the world. And then after that, then he did an ice age somewhere in between, right? And then they got all evil again, and he's like, oh God, you're all evil again, so I got to send my son down and nail him to a cross so that you can go to heaven. And it's like, okay, why would you want these evil fucks in heaven at all?
And don't forget, in between, you got Sodom and Gomorrah, which were just a couple cities he picked out to destroy. And well, if everybody was just being so, yeah, there was another thing. Well, why didn't you just destroy everybody then?
And then
so it's like, always separate events. So they're describing different things.
Yeah, sometime later, like 2,000 years, he's gonna like lift all the believers up into the sky for a few months, right? And then he's gonna roast everybody down below, and then he's gonna bring them back, and then Jesus is gonna come on and lead them into some fucking wonderful world. But why there? Why not go to heaven? I don't understand. What?
Well, Jesus is going to lead the final battle first.
Final
Well,
battle.
here's-
Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of death and destruction first. Yeah.
Here's what nobody ever told me that, of course, I had to find out for myself because there were just way too many fundamentalists in Arkansas when I was growing up, is that if you're trying to make sense of the Bible and the biblical stories as a narrative and, as part of a consistent system, you're going to have to take a lot of aspirin or Tylenol. But if you understand that there's different kinds of myth, and
You're
each of
going to
these
need something
stories
stronger
in the
than that.
so what?
You're going to need something stronger than Tylenol.
Okay, maybe one of James' sleeping pills or something.
Yeah.
But like, there's 4 kinds of myth. And I was just looking this up because I was trying to remember there's 4 types of myth. There's cosmogonic, cosmogonic, maybe, which explains the beginning of the universe. Okay, there you go. Genesis chapter 1 and 2, maybe other sections of the Old Testament. There's etiological, which seek to understand natural or human phenomena such as rituals or seasons. You can look at, the Tower of Babel as an etiology. This is why, and this is how languages came to be. And then there's foundational, which describes certain events or beginnings of a culture. Oh, say maybe a Passover and an Exodus, So just if you understand the categories or are introduced to those categories, your mind will begin to unshackle or be unshackled from the need to understand the Bible and the religion as a coherent system, because it's not, and it's just much more clearly.
There's 7 kinds of myths. Huh.
Okay, so there's different categorization schemas about myths, but yeah, what are the other the 3 then?
Eschatological myths.
Etiological,
No, etiological is down below. I've got them on the screen.
Okay.
Creation myths, number 1.
Eschatological. That's end times. Yeah.
Eschatological myths. Okay. Yeah. And then transformation myths or metamorphosis. The myths involve the transformation of beings. God's taking human form, Jesus. Etiological myths or origin myths. Yeah, there you go. Hero myths.
Mythodon.
There's trickster myths and underworld myths and cultural myths. Oh, there's 10 of. Well, it kept going. Animal myths, apocalyptic myths, cultural myths. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, but what the fuck? But Fundies do believe this shit literally, and they try to actually believe these stories, and they never question their God because God loves them, and he's just so wonderful. We're just gonna what the fuck? What is wrong with these people?
I say when I read Bible stories, I can apply something natural or some other explanation of what they were describing without anything supernatural. Floods happen.
Yeah.
People get sick, and sometimes they heal. And wow, it's miraculous, but it's not supernatural.
Right.
Yeah, people were executed by the Romans. Sodom and Gomorrah, something falling out of the sky. Well, maybe they got hit by a space rock, But when you're looking through their lens, of course it was supernatural because they didn't have a better explanation. And I think James and I were just talking about it the other day. We don't hold it against people thousands of years ago, but you have to look at it now through their lens.
I don't know. It's just like these people. Okay, they're adults, and they believe that somehow all of this makes sense, and I just don't understand. They gotta tell me. They gotta give me something. Like, I don't know. Why?
Well, in a way, religions were kind of like the first science. When they first started thinking about things and say we need explanations for these things, and that's just the best they had. But when you don't keep up from 4,000, 2,000, 1,500 years ago from the major religions, you're kind of way behind. It's just you can't stay in the first century or BC or anything else. It's just especially while you're using the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I've been having a fit lately trying to figure this shit out. Like, why, because listening to Fundy Fridays and listening to some of these Fundies talk and listening to Ken Ham, for God's sake, Ken Ham. He's like the worst of the worst, right?
As he utilizes the internet to badmouth scientists.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that irks me. Every time somebody's badmouthed the scientists, all I can think is, get off the internet.
Yeah.
I wonder if he goes to the doctor and wants to only have treatments that aren't based on evolutionary biology.
Yeah.
Well, Ken Ham has glasses. His son-in-law has a pacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia has a cochlear implant. So yeah, that stuff's all great, right? And then of course you always see the memes, where Jesus is looking over the surgeon's shoulder, saying, "Hey, why are you taking that tumor out? Put that back in there," right?
Yeah.
So are you messing with the plan?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pray it away. Yeah.
Is Georgia supposed to be able to hear? Now I think it's great she can hear, right?
Yep.
But are you robbing God of his glory by...
You see those videos of those babies that get the implants and they hear for their mother and father for the first time and their face just lights up.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, but is that messing with the plan?
Right. Are you somehow stealing glory from God by not letting his plan?
Because anybody else, that bad thing happened to them because ultimately it's going to make something good out of it because they're going to learn a lesson or they're going to help other people. Well, you're taking that away because now George is not doing all kind of things for deaf people. Well, she might be. I'm not, but you know what I mean? Because she's not deaf. So where's the God lesson? The lesson in there is, hey, thanks a lot, science. That was great that you spent all those hours in that lab developing this micro technology so that I can hear. But you'll never hear that from her.
Right. And then you have people like Rebecca who take a really solid, she took a really solid analytical and intellectual look at LGBTQ in the Bible, right? And she came up with some pretty good stuff. And yet she looks at this creation thing and she comes up with this bullshit and she believes in that bullshit. So, I mean, she is capable of understanding it. And then you got somebody, Joel Duff did a thing on, he did a Q&A, I think, for students. And he did a pretty good explanation of what he thought of Christianity and what his approach is, how he reconciles evolution with Christianity. And he deferred to being agnostic about all that, which is the humble Christian way to do it, right? Now, he has a very interesting faith, and which I cannot find fault with too much. It's still, I mean, I don't agree with him, but I mean, he has a really interesting faith, and it really is kind of cool because he's just agnostic about how the Bible fits into it, right? And I think he pointed out that when humans read the Bible, you've got interpretations of those words, and that is what does Ken Ham call that? Flawed human knowledge, right? Or flawed human thinking. Your interpretation of the Bible is just as flawed as your interpretation of scientific evidence. You can't get around that.
Who knows everything? God.
God knows.
Who should you always trust? God or man? God.
Yeah.
That's right. Say it again. God. That's right. Never trust what man says, only what God says. But by the way that I interpret what God says.
David McClellan just did a thing about whether or not it says in the Bible that the Bible is the Word of God. And he
That's
said
Dan McClellan.
Dan McClellan. Okay, and he does not say that anywhere. Doesn't say that in the Bible. So here's that little clip. Did anybody else see that?
I didn't. I saw it in my recommendations, but I didn't click on it. Was it a short or a more extended one?
I'm not sure. Let me check it out here. Peak, tomorrow's episode, data, message, okay, shorts. Might bet a short. Mark of the Beast, Age of the Patriarchs, next online.
I do regularly listen to his podcast, Data Over Dogma.
Yeah.
And it's really good material.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He really kind of knows what he's talking about. Word of God. Let's see if we can find it on search. After the word was God, here we go. It's a chart, I think. Okay. I've got, let's see. Let me put that up. And I'm going to try this. That might work. Okay. Let's see if we can hear this. I'm not sure if I got things set up anymore. Okay.
Syllable of the Bible that uses the phrase the Word of God as a reference to the Scriptures, much less to the Bible itself. The Bible would not exist until centuries after the Scriptures were all written and their authors were all dead. So, in that sense, the Bible is a post-biblical concept. But when we find the phrase Word of God in the Bible, it's sometimes being used to refer to Jesus in the New Testament, but in many places in the New Testament and throughout the entire Hebrew Bible, it is a reference to the messages being communicated directly between God and humanity. And these messages were conceptualized as distinct from their written form, as well as the stories about the people who are receiving and talking about those messages. So when we look at the Bible, we have stories about people receiving communications from God and sharing them with others, and we even have the written form of some of those messages. But those are both distinct from what was understood to be the Word of God itself. And even in the earliest generations of Christianity, the words of Jesus were considered distinct from the graphi, the written things, because they were living words that were being transmitted orally. They were not frozen in text. So the words of Jesus were superior to the Jewish scriptures, and it was not until we got a couple generations away from Jesus's life when we no longer really had a plausible case to make for having heard the very words of Jesus, either first or second hand, that they needed to be committed to text. They needed to be preserved in their written form. And then we have the development of the Gospels and the text of the New Testament apart from the letters of Paul. And they begin to take on significance as graphi, as scriptures, as the written things. But when you see the Word of God in the Bible, this is never a reference to the Bible or to the scriptures. This is a reference to the messages directly between God and humanity, or in the New Testament, to Jesus himself.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, there's not a single...
How about that? How about them apples?
Very interesting.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty cool. What copy video frame? What's happening here? Something's going really wrong.
James, how you feeling there?
Yeah. How you feeling, James? James sleeping?
He might be sleeping.
He's
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, I was nodding.
Don't apologize. We knew this was a possibility.
Yeah.
And, but you're not
I'm always
snoring.
I'm always at my best when I'm asleep, so we have that to look forward to.
You've been streaming. I noticed you've been streaming. Like you did 2 streams, didn't you?
Yeah, I did 2 streams this week.
Yeah, wow. And you hadn't done it for a long time.
No, I haven't.
Okay, Look at the Trees did a video which he put up, which we should put in the description. We'll take a look at that. Who else put a video up when I asked him to? Nobody else. Nobody else.
I don't have a new promo yet, but Trees and I were talking about doing sea monsters this month. So
Okay. Whoop.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, gang, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good one. We're going to have a Pastor Blaster exclusive, gang. This will be the Pastor Blaster Sound of Freedom edition.
Ooh. That's
Ooh.
an interesting one. You familiar with the Sound of Freedom movie and some of the controversy?
Yep.
Yeah. And
And Trees is good at taking these folks down.
yeah. Well, it's kind of like the conservatives losing their shit over the Barbie movie. But I don't know.
They notice they got kind of quiet when it started breaking all these records for gross at the box office.
Oh, they even got noisier. They said it was just horrible that happened. That is just horrible. Because it was all about, a world without men. It's like, what are they going to do? They're going to have a world without men. It's like, oh no. It's like, what will we all do? Us poor men.
I saw Matt Walsh just had a post up something about according to the dictionary, and it's like, since when can you use a dictionary? He's been asking what's the definition of a woman for how many years?
Yeah.
And it's like, since when can you use a dictionary? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. How do you do a new chat? How do I do a new chat? New chat. Close sidebar. What is the definition of a woman?
The Oxford Dictionary has the most complete one that I've found. It gives a bazillion different definitions for what a woman is.
I don't know.
Even things like people that were like a maid, they were the woman. It's got so many things through the history of what a woman is. You go I don't know, dozens of definitions. So
Every time I hear that question, I think of Jack Nicholson's famous line from As Good as It Gets, where someone asked him how he writes women so well. And he says, well, I just picture a man and I take away reason and accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, we love to poke at the women, don't we?
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying it's a famous line.
We love to give them a little shit now and then. Yeah. Yeah, and the reason for that is because, like, in my life, the women in my life had so much fucking power over me. I mean, it was my daddy should have warned me.
Yeah, you both.
Christ, he didn't warn me. It's like, oh, get one of those,
my father gave me 2 pieces of advice,
what's that?
and they've served me well. He says, do you know what a condom's for?
Yeah.
And never call me from jail.
Shit.
My dad did. He was a man of few words, but he had some wisdom in that.
Freedom smells like French fries. Yes. Yep. Anyway.
Freedom fries. Those are freedom fries. Does everybody remember the freedom fries?
No.
You don't remember that? When everybody was, I don't know what it was, but they're like, we're going to change the name. What did they do?
Were they red, white, and blue?
There was some reason that they wanted to change the name from French fries to freedom fries because did France do something?
Said something or did something that offended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was that campaign for a while to change the name of the fries. It was one of those, like I say, it was, I'm sure Matt Walsh or some of those clowns probably was up behind it.
The French are famous for offending us every other minute.
I got go ahead. I'm gonna look up and see what it was.
Okay. Yep. So, wow, radical subject change. Lead singer of Smash Mouth died yesterday, I believe, of what do they got? Cirrhosis of the liver. Complications, liver complications due to alcohol at 56 years old. Brilliant, brilliant performer. And that,
Okay, Freedom Fries was a Republican who led it because he was changing the name in the congressional cafeterias to Freedom Fries because of France's opposition to the proposed invasion of Iraq.
oh my God.
Imagine being a worker in the congressional cafeteria. Talk about all the Karens.
That was their priorities. Yeah.
Let me speak to your managers. We just passed the law, and now you have to call French fries Freedom Fries.
I don't know if that was a typo, Pavel D, but I think calling it a wart is a pretty fucking good idea.
Yep, that's what it was.
Yep, it was a wart.
It was a Republican.
Yeah. Thor, come on now. I can't find my mouse, Thor. What have you done with my mouse pointer? Fucking kitty. Okay. Anyway, lead singer of Smash Mouth died of alcoholism, basically, and which is pretty tragic when you think about it. But
is there a way to get cirrhosis of the liver without being an alcoholic?
a lot of Tylenol. If you take like more than 6 a day for like a long time, or let's see what else does it. Other things make your liver fatty and will start to degrade it. And weird thing about the liver is you go over like 50% liver failure, then all of a sudden within weeks you turn yellow and you can die. I mean, it just happens. Your liver is like very binary. It's either working or it's not. But anyway, so
my son's diabetic, and they monitor his liver fat.
function. Yeah. I think there are other ways, but anyway, with Smash Mouth, everybody agreed that it was, they couldn't help him. They couldn't stop him from drinking. He lost a child to leukemia, and after that he just went crazy, drinking constantly, and killed himself. But it's kind of
my brother didn't make it to 50.
really what did he
drowned his sorrows in Jack Daniels straight.
Yeah. Cirrhosis get him?
He had a bunch of perforations all through him, and it went up to his brain. And once it got to his brain, there was nothing they could do.
Okay.
He was yellow, and I am not exaggerating.
Yep.
He was yellow.
My ex-wife's mother died at 43 of cirrhosis of the liver, and my ex-wife died at 68 of cirrhosis of the liver. So,
and there was a time where he dried up. Yeah, you know what it was? Is where he worked. You know what I mean? When he worked around alcohol, he drank. When he worked at this one place, there was no alcohol. All of a sudden, he wasn't drinking. He lost a bunch of weight. He's like, "Hey, check it out." I hadn't seen him in a while, and he's like, "Check me," and I was like, "Hey, you're looking good, dude." And feeling good, but proud of himself. You know what I mean? Not drinking, losing the weight, and then something would happen. And especially working around with a bar, or he was working at a beer dock for a while, and it's like when you got an alcohol problem, that's the worst place to work. Right. Is where it is all the time.
So I'm 72 years old, and I've told you guys stories about my alcoholism and drug use. What would you guess? How many years do you think I was using alcohol and drugs in my life over 72 years? Anybody? Wild guess?
10.
10? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a definite wild guess.
That was a wild guess. It was 16 years.
Well, it was close then. I mean, you can't fault me for guessing 10.
Yeah.
I mean, you look really great for your age, so you got away with it.
Yeah, actually, the 16 years might be, that's sort of rounded up, because I'm not entirely sure how long each slip lasted, because I would sober up intermittently in between. And like for a year, I'd sober up for 30 days to get drunk, go to meetings, sober up for 30 days, get drunk, over and over again for about, I think that was actually 2 years. But I was kind of surprised only 22% of my life. And now my father, for him, it was more like 70% of his life, maybe even 80% of his entire life, because he was the kind of alcoholic that could manage it for a long time. He managed it until he was 58 years old before he actually lost the job, to alcoholism. Killed his brother in a car accident. My dad would have blown like a point 0.4. Plus, he had Librium in his system and ended up fatally in a fatal accident that almost killed him and killed his brother. But anyway, so there's all different kinds of alcoholics, and I'm the kind that goes from 0 to 90 in 2 seconds. I basically I couldn't maintain. There's no way that I could maintain usage. The only way I could maintain is if I ran out. If I had a supply, I went just all the way and I ended up hospitalized. And that's why I ended up sober for a lot of my life, basically, because there's no way that I could sustain the kind of use I did. But Dave, I'm not sure where you are on alcoholism. Did did you say you're not, or
I I went through my drinking phase, when we first turned of age and hit the bars and clubs all the time. But
yeah? There's a lot of people.
anymore, I have a little bit of wine or half a
Okay, so
beer.
you're not an alcoholic. So of you three normies, we call you.
Well, I was going to say with my dad though, if my dad drank liquor, okay, like at a wedding or something, he was happy-go-lucky, dancing. He could maintain, right? If he went out with his buddies and drank beer, he got sloppy drunk and they would have to bring him home and drop him off on the porch. It was the weirdest thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
He just,
Yeah,
the difference, for some reason, the beer would just make him, couldn't talk, just totally polluted. But he could drink 7-7s all night long at a wedding and be just fine. I never understood it.
odd.
Hmm.
A lot of my normie friends thought that when I went out and drank, that I did it for some hedonistic reasoning, that I was enjoying it. And most people who have recovered from alcohol understand that it's nothing like that at all. In fact, after you're recovered for a long period of time and you think back to what was happening when you were using, you get a really sick feeling, like we felt sick all of the time. There was very little enjoyment towards the latter stages of an alcohol binge. In fact, 3 days into an alcohol binge, the enjoyment was, and maybe even an hour into it, it was completely gone. But what was there was an obsession. And like we talked about spiritual experiences, and a spiritual experience is a realization that some realization that's very hard to describe that makes a complete transformation in your life that you change entirely. For an alcoholic, drinking one drink does that same thing, but in the other direction. Instead of making positive changes in your life immediately starts to fall apart. And you become absolutely obsessed with alcohol. And it affects this reward system in your brain. Okay, and like normally, you get okay, you love your children, you love your wife, you get up and you're excited to see them and you're happy about it. That's all like your dopamine reward system, right? Working. Or if you're happy to go to work or you got some project you care about. Well, when you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, that entire system gets taken over by an obsession to use the drug. But the drug never gives you what you want. So you're always in some state of withdrawal because after the very first few times you use the drug, it no longer has the same feeling. So for the rest of your life, you're chasing something that you're never going to get. That's why I say the first time you do meth or cocaine, it'll be the last best time you ever have. Because you'll never get there again. You'll never get to that feeling of that first hit. And it's an absolutely insidious thing. And it's taken big bites out of my life, like 16 years. And kept my life in a state of unmanageable for a long time. Before I finally realized powerfully that I am powerless over alcohol and drugs. I just can't take them. Well, what does powerless mean? Are you guys, all four of us are powerless over sodium cyanide and potassium cyanide. We're powerless over that. But the weird thing about alcohol and drugs is some people can fucking just use it, quit and go home and have a normal life. And other people, it's more like cyanide. So it's very, very difficult to understand. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about, alcoholics, they just want to sin and have fun. No, they're not having a good time. They're having the worst fucking time that any human being can have. And there's nothing they can do about it. Because something in their brain has gone very, very wrong. They are essentially mentally ill when they're in the throes of an addiction and should be hospitalized.
We didn't have alcohol in the house, and most of the time my dad just drank coffee, smoked cigarettes like everybody else,
Yeah.
And but when there was something, an event or whatever, he wanted to drink. And like I said, but depending on the event. So he called himself that he had an alcohol problem, but it was only because he would go out with the guys and do stupid stuff, like they'd get bent at work or something, and the whole shift would walk out and go to the bar across the street or something, the old union days, screw this, we're union. They'd all get up and walk out.
Yeah.
But normally, yeah, it was, like you were saying, some people can just take it or leave it. And most of the time, we didn't have alcohol in the house. My dad drank coffee most of the time.
Yeah.
It was always coffee, though. Always.
So when I was 12 years old, my dad had about 64 quart bottles of homebrewed beer, 2 crocks of wine, 25, 30-gallon crocks of wine, 150 gallons of grape wine in barrels, and about 10 gallons of moonshine. We had a little bit of alcohol in our house.
But we had a bottle of whiskey, I swear, was under the sink for decades because it only got used when we were sick to make the good old hot toddies, a little bit of whiskey and the hot lemonade. And that was the only time. And it had, the layers of dust all built up on it like it was an old wine bottle or something. It just sat under the kitchen sink. That was the only alcohol that was in our house.
Wow. Yeah, if somebody had lit a match in our house, I think it would have been tragic. It just boosh.
But everybody smoked like a chimney and drank coffee. If we had company, we had one of those big, the 30-cup jobs or something, going. Because, all the aunts and uncles and grandparents and everybody just smoked and drank coffee,
Little dust on the bottle. Oh, here we go. That one. Little dust on the bottle. Yeah, there was no dust on our bottles. Anyway. I bought the farm from my father, and I found like 6 gallons of moonshine hidden in all in the attic, in the sauna, and fucking garage, and the barn, and all kinds of shit. There's a lot of it. But so I grew up around that shit. And a lot of drinking, but I don't think that's what made me an alcoholic. I think what made me an alcoholic was entirely genetic. There's something that happens to me when I drink alcohol that I have. It's just hard to explain to anybody who doesn't have that same effect. Like when I first started drinking a beer, it felt like a train was coming. On the track, like that rumble that you hear. If you're waiting for a train to go by and squash your coins, you can hear it in the distance coming, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and that's what it was like. And then it was just off to the races after that. It was really weird, hard to explain.
I was an experimenter when I was younger. It's like, yeah, we're gonna try this, try that, and part of it was like what you talk about, you know, trying for the experience and all that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
so I tried some of this and I tried some of that, and I was like, okay. And but I never had the desire to just, you know, to keep going with it. But
Where's the clip? Where's the clip?
my brother, though, he just straight liquor, and it just
Yeah, hey, pull up Nitty's clip, and let's.
Did he
Basically,
link it?
Nitty is asking the question, "Am I the asshole?"
Did he link it?
No, he did not link it.
I was watching that.
I'll go find it. I'll go find him.
I never ask myself that question because the answer is always the same.
Nitty was trying to
I
explain things and be, you know, just having a fair discussion about stuff or whatever, and P-Town was giving him a hard time. So,
Well, you know, P-Town. But yeah, I'm always the asshole. There's never a question about it.
Is it a short or is it fatally
he says it's a clip. Maybe he made a clip of his
Yeah, it's not like you've got anywhere to be, Speed.
my channel. Upload. It says it's on his channel. He uploaded today.
What's the name of it? Oh, 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago? Okay, so
Probably.
it is. Okay. I got her.
Huh?
Mike's on it.
I'm on it. Okay. Put that thing on.
It's only
Put that
6
thing-
minutes long, so that should take us about 3 hours to get through.
Yeah. 6 minutes. Okay. Let's roll it. We have Nitty's permission
Yeah,
to
see,
roll
there I am. See, captive desk. See, there.
It's time.
I was there. I was there.
it. You were there.
So, what
Like that Jesus
trying to answer?
originated.
Glitching out, so I couldn't tell if I was muted or
Oh, that Jesus originated
now,
as a born
Not
being,
enough. Just joking.
or Jesus always existed. Those are your options.
What? So, are you gonna put God in a box and say it can't be both?
What?
Why can't it be both?
Okay,
Why?
here
I mean,
I'll explain.
it is
All right,
God,
all right.
right?
Everyone, shh, because we got to explain a very fundamental thing about Christianity of P-Town. If at any point Jesus is not an infinite being, then Jesus cannot atone for an infinite amount of sin. He could only atone for a finite
Unless
amount
he's
of sin.
both. How do you measure that?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Who
Being a finite being, in every other
who
case in the
created the
Bible,
measurements?
hold on, T-Town. In
Yeah.
every other case of the Bible, finite beings only atone for finite amounts of sin. So if you say that Jesus is not past eternal, he can only cleanse a finite amount of sin. And he is also then not God. Because if Jesus is, and I'm saying like that Colossians 1 has two options of interpretation. One is that Jesus came into being apart from God, thus not being fully equal to God. Or Jesus is always fully God and has existed in eternity past, and his atoning work is infinite.
Don't let Nitty trap you. I'm jumping
Nitty,
sides.
can
I'm
I-
a Christian
can I
now.
start with asking you: is this really a focal point of your?
Oh my gosh,
Dude,
damn it.
Is it really?
Look at the
if
moon.
it is, I would love to know. Is this really?
Are you serious right now?
No, I don't know. I mean, just say yes.
I
or
just jumped on your
no,
side,
or-
P-Town, to help you out, and now you're just going to pull this crap?
Dude, this is a fundamental understanding of the cross and Jesus's nature. And you're going to ask me, do I hold this position? You know I'm an atheist, but I'm trying to show you
Is it
original Christian teaching and what it means for you as a believer.
Well, I mean, you've known me what for almost a year now,
Yeah.
8 months.
I asked you a
I
simple
don't ascribe
question.
to like fundamental Christianism. It's just
Christianism?
P-Town's version of what the Bible
Okay,
says.
so
I
P-Town.
mean, it's not like that poetic to be just
So
frank with everyone.
all right. I'm going to ask you a simple yes or no question.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that Jesus always existed with God?
Of course, it's in Scripture.
Thank you. So you do not believe that Jesus is a created being from eternity past in comparison to eternity past?
In essence, I believe that as well. What
where-
I'm saying is, God, you're putting God in a box. There's other reasons to believe in the text and its divinity and stuff. You don't have to figure out all of these man-made, minuscule, philosophical.
This is not
silliness.
minuscule, P-Town.
It is. Well, who decided it is
Wow.
or isn't?
Wow.
I don't know, 2,000 years of church tradition? Seriously, it
Well,
was
they've always
deemed a
done well. I
complete-
mean, you would argue that, right?
But this was deemed as a heresy worth dying over.
Who cares?
And
I
has
mean,
been.
People have done stupid things for a long time. Always will, always have.
Who cares? Believing the wrong thing about Jesus sends you to hell, P-Town.
I think it's really simple.
Don't trip out about it, man. Just parse your mellow.
I don't think I need a church or thousands of years of silliness to get in the way. I really don't think I need that, Nitty. It's simple. I mean, I don't have the answer to everything, but why can't it be both?
Okay.
Why can't there be, and why can't we not have the answer to everything? Isn't it okay? If God wanted us to have to logic our way to Christianity, then wouldn't he have written a textbook instead of the Bible?
Okay.
Would Jesus have preached not in parables if he wanted it that way? Maybe there's an aspect of that relationship between you and God, and that's something else besides whatever it is that you're looking for.
Okay. It can't be both, because that's like saying that.
Why not? It's God.
Okay.
You're telling God what he can and cannot do. And by biblical definitions,
you
that
are
would make
making
you
God-
putting yourself above God.
Jesus
you are.
Christ, P-Town.
Oh, man.
Can you not interrupt me for a second?
I didn't mean to. I
You-
apologize.
All right. Look. Is this a thermos?
I would presume so. Yes.
Okay. Is it a turtle?
No.
Why can't it be both?
It could be if the brand name of that thermos is
Shut up,
Apple.
Tux.
Not in the same
Why
way.
can't it be both?
Shut up, Tux.
It's called logic. Is the answer logic?
It's made
So
of metal. It's,
That's what I'm trying to tell you, P-Town, is that those two
Okay.
propositions on the nature of God are not compatible. They cannot be.
All right, so I have something to say about this before I fall asleep.
Let me just put myself in.
Okay.
All right, so one, this is the whole square circle married bachelor thing, right? How P-Town doesn't get that, I don't know. Now, with P-Town's logic, if we apply that to anything, including a Bible, then literally anything goes. You can take every single statement and about any single thing and say, oh, well, the opposite could also be true, right? It nullifies the entire thing to say that.
Yep. Yeah, if anything goes, there's really nothing.
Right, there's nothing at all.
It's kind of, wow. Anyway. No, I don't think Nitty was being mean. I thought he was being
No, he wasn't
nice.
being mean.
No. Very nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
He was a little frustrated.
I think Nerdy said he was maybe being a bit curt. Somebody said he was being a bit curt, C-U-R-T,
No.
curt. And
No.
maybe, Spooky. I'm sorry, Spooky did. Maybe that's so. I don't know.
But that's fair, though. I would be, too. I mean, I think he was more than patient. If you listen to Dan McClellan's 3 recent videos where he responded about abortion, you could tell by the second video he was getting really, really impatient with the fundamentalist he was arguing with. Like, you could tell, like, he was starting to, like, get really kind of pissed off. And he chilled out by the third one, but it happens to the best of us. When we have bad faith actors bringing absolute bullshit to us and trying to tell us it's not bullshit, there's a certain amount of patience we have for that. And once they go past our threshold, that's it. We're done with the bullshit.
Well, that's why there are no contradictions in the Bible, because, well, if you found a contradiction, it's just got. Why can't it be both? What? What? Yeah. Anyway, it's apparently pretty important to get this word of God right? Otherwise, you roast in hell forever or some fucking thing.
Well, P-Town's position is it's not important at all to get any of it right.
No.
Come on, all right.
I just want to be a Christian. Just want to believe some stuff. Huh?
I just got an email from Deconverted Man. We're gonna do something next Thursday, the 14th.
Okay.
On his book review.
Ooh. The 14th, Thursday. Oh, I'll be gone. No, that'll be Friday. I'm going Friday. That's right. I'm going back up north.
Thursday evening, talk about his book. Which I think it's pretty good for a self-published
yeah.
book. I think he did a pretty good job.
Yep. I got both his books.
He said he gave me the PDF for the other one.
Damn, I bought them. I gave him money for both of them. So what the hell?
I bought the other ones.
He converted man.
Gosh.
Ooh.
But that's always fun, so we ought to have some shits and giggles.
That's where I'm going.
Where is it?
Northeastern Minnesota. It's pretty cool.
Is it squatchy?
Oh yeah, there's squatch all over.
Keep that camera at the ready.
Yeah, isn't that quite a view? It's one of the highest points in Minnesota. I don't think I could make it out there, but I sure as hell like to. It's kind of cool. When to go? Oh, there's a nice picture.
Well, there you go. You got water. All you need is an inner tube. You're all set, Mike.
Yeah, I got my flow tube.
There you go.
Pretty cool. And there's one of our bogs. Yep. Quick note about bears.
Bear spray. Take your bear spray.
Bring a small bag for rocks, 30 feet and 40 pounds. Let's see.
The Grassman Chronicles recommends carrying bear spray. Be safe. Be safe.
Huh? So the wilderness sometimes has to be closed because of aggressive bear.
When they got cubs or something.
Yeah, something like that. There it is. There's Lake Superior. Here's where I don't know. You can't see it. Okay, Silver Bay. You can see that in the middle. That's where me and the ex went. Tetaguchi State Park. We made it that far, so pretty cool. And that's kind of a little picture of what the arrowhead is in Minnesota. That little pointy thing. Anyway.
I didn't get that.
Shut up, sir. Just shut the fuck up. I don't want you right now. God damn. See what I mean? Women. What the fuck? Latrine. Yeah, pretty cool area. Well, anyway, oh my God, there's a nice view, eh? Sunset.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, we're going to shoot it ahead so you can get ready for your stream on the 14th. Cool.
Yeah, I've got this Thursday and next Thursday. So I've got guests for the next 2 Thursdays lined up. So
Bear spray is hairspray for.
And then Grassman Chronicles is usually set for the last Sunday of the month.
Okay.
And we're talking about doing sea monsters this month. So, because I was thinking, I came across some sea monster stuff, and I was like, I forgot all about sea monsters. There's so many sea monsters. So,
well, I'm sorry, Dave, but this month is never going to end because if it does end, then that means that we're going to go back into winter, and I'm not doing that this year. And I don't understand why we can't have both.
What's winter?
Winter, yeah,
Isn't,
right.
isn't winter just like a day or two out of the year, and then
still waiting for summer in Ohio. So
Yeah.
winter's where it gets cold and icy for like maybe a week, and the grid breaks down, and then it's over, and you're sweating.
Yeah.
That's winter.
Yep.
Ours have been mild up till January, and then we get some cold, and then you're sitting there in February waiting for the thaw. So that's what ours. But like last year, I can't remember getting the shovel out. You know, North Ohio.
Yeah, that's normally.
And I can't remember shoveling at all last year. And you know, I think buying the snow thrower, because I bought a snow thrower. There was a storm coming one year, and I'm like, oh heck no! So I bought a snow thrower, and it came in handy. And I don't think I've used it since. So
I spent a winter in Columbus, Ohio, and I wanted to go back to Minnesota. I was like screaming like like a baby. It's like, this is horrible. There was a snowstorm, and we couldn't get out of the hotel because the door wouldn't open. They had to come and like plow out the sidewalk so we get out of the hotel. And in the Target parking lot, there were snowbanks that they'd piled like 20 feet high, and I was like, oh no, Minnesota winter's better than this shit.
we always had enough snow where if we couldn't get to the park or something like that, we would just throw some shovels of snow up in the yard and have a big pile of, you know, our own little hill to sled down.
Right.
There's always lots of snow.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very strange.
Winter is a season during summer. Interesting. Yeah. I don't want to do it again this year. I'm not going to do it. I quit. Anyway, there was a truck drove by out in Shakopee, Minnesota, not far from me, and threw a little spark into the midline of the freeway, and it erupted into this enormous fucking raging fire immediately. We are so dry right now that I really worry that we're going to lose our house in the next few months. And that was Shakopee. Is like the Minnesota River Valley runs through that, and if that valley starts on fire, I don't know how they're ever going to handle it. It's going to roast us all.
We all just need to go out and follow Trump's advice to California and go out there with rakes and stuff.
Oh yeah, rake the woods, weed the woods,
rake the forest.
You got to weed the woods.
Yeah, weed the woods.
Yeah, when I babysat for my younger brother and sister, I'd always threaten to make them go weed the woods because my dad would make them weed the garden, and I said, "You're gonna have to go weed the woods if you don't start behaving," and they'd start crying. No, we don't want to weed the woods.
I don't want to weed the woods. Don't make me weed the woods.
Going out there, you're gonna weed the woods.
That was a chore we got as kids.
Weed the woods?
If we messed up,
Yeah.
we were weeding the garden.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, for my brother and sister, it was weed the woods because I had an imagination when I babysat for them.
That was a go-to.
Yep.
If we messed up, get out there and pull some weeds. And I don't want to see you for a certain amount of period of time.
Is there a statute of limitations on child abuse? Because when I babysat for my brother and sister, I should have fucking been arrested so many times. I mean, Jesus Christ, I was tough on him. I mean, I was a 13-year-old kid, right? And I'm like, and I got these like fucking 6-year-old or what the hell? So, okay, he would have been 8 and I think Charlene would have been 4 or 5. And it's like, and I've got an imagination. And my mom and dad are gone all night. These little suckers are going through hell.
My mother held it against me till the day she died for my brother burning his hand.
Oh yeah.
Because she told him, or she got the story that I told him to reach into the grill. And that wasn't it. He asked me a dumb question. He says, "Do you think that charcoal is hot?" And I said something like, "Well, why don't you pick one up and find out?"
Oh, no.
And he did. and he burned his hand. And my mother held. I was like, I was just being, a wise guy, and he reached right in there and touched it, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
So my little sister told me about 10 years ago that she had talked about my babysitting her in therapy many times. Like I used to threaten to put her in the dryer and turn it on. And yeah, and apparently that left some sort of PTSD in her or whatever. I should have been arrested. Oh my God. Anyway.
Now, my mother made a deal with us when she went back to work when we were old enough, because she stayed at home when we were kids, and she wanted to go back to work. So the deal was I had to watch my brother until my dad got home or my mom got home, whichever.
Not kill him.
And I had to make us something to eat. Yep. And in exchange, we got cable. So that's when we got cable.
Oh, like if my mom and dad had actually given me something for babysitting for them, I might have been a better babysitter. We didn't get shit. Yep.
That's when we got cable, and Fridays was pizza, hamburgers, whatever we wanted. It was the no cook day or whatever. So
awesome.
Fridays we'd order pizza or go to QP's or McDonald's or whatever we wanted to get. So he survived. I don't think I was too brutal to him or anything.
Yeah, my brother and sister survived, just barely. It was anyway. Okay, we're gonna shoot her in the head. So is James still awake? James, are you still awake? No.
Yeah, I'm sort of
awake. Yeah.
Sort of awake. So.
You got anything to say for yourself?
No, I have no defense.
No defense. Okay. No defense. Scott, you got anything to say for yourself?
I'm going to wait until my lawyer can be present.
Okay. You're pleading the fifth?
Pleading the fifth.
On the advice of counsel, I'm going to just not say anything.
Yeah, I think I should have done that too. You should have told me that a long time ago. Dave, anything to say for yourself?
I hope to see everybody the next couple Thursdays.
Yep. Okay, boys and girls.
Good talking with everybody.
Shooting her in the head. Goodbye, cruel world.